Almost every business owner I speak to online is obsessed with trying to crack paid ads, outbound, or content creation. There's a lead generation strategy that no one's talking about, that every big business owner has been using for years. And once I started implementing this into my business, it added tens of thousands of new monthly recurring revenue to my agency without spending $1 on paid ads, without spending hours trying to create content. I'm going to show you exactly what that strategy is, why it's so powerful, and how you can implement this into your business today. Now, the most successful businesses, they all have one thing in common: competitive advantages. And the thing is in the last few decades, obviously the internet's provided a great opportunity. Back in the day, obviously the first people who figured this out, they had a big competitive advantage. But as more and more people start sending cold emails, they start sending DMs, now all of a sudden there isn't really a competitive advantage. And all that will come through is those low-paying clients that are really, really desperate. And at the end of the day, if someone's just going to come to you because they saw one cold email, because of some big guarantee success offer, what do you think is going to happen when they start working with you? And then the next agency does the same thing. They're going to leave. And then the other thing with paid advertising, it's an auction system, right? You bid a certain amount of money, the other advertiser bids a certain amount of money, you compete against each other, and yes, it can come down to variables about the kind of content, but really it's who spends the most amount of money that wins the auction, and obviously gets that person into their newsfeed to see their product and take them off to their website. Now just imagine having one conversation that could unlock 1,000 of your ideal customers straight into your inbox. I never used to believe this kind of stuff until one conversation, a podcast I had with a CEO. Now this particular CEO, he had been offered a job by a huge company in the United States, and I managed to have a podcast with him, which was almost a dream come true at the time. And I asked him, what is the most important thing in business? And he said, first of all, Nigel, it's your people. Secondly, he said, your partners. And I never really understood, I've heard the name partnership, obviously affiliates, I've understood all that kind of stuff. What he was talking about was something very different: alliances that open up doors that you could never ever imagine. Now, to bring it back to you and your business, 70% of all deals are impacted by word of mouth. So if you have someone that refers you business, and it's a partner who has access to a lot of potential clients, then think about how warm those leads are going to be. These clients, they come in with a lot of trust because of the recommendation from your partner. So that means, one, it's easier to get them results because it's less time doing all the communication. And the second thing is they stay longer and they buy more stuff. So actually, you need to do a lot less lead generation than all the other people you're competing with who are doing cold email, where all of their clients leave within 90 days. And your clients, they stay for 2 years. So actually, overall, you need a lot less clients. The most important thing is the shared knowledge, because you're sharing each other knowledge, you're sharing each other business. That means that you will support each other. And there's nothing better than when you're in business and you can talk to someone who's going through the same as you. They're the conversations that stop you from quitting, and that's probably, if not one of the biggest competitive advantages, because if it stops you from quitting, really it's just a matter of time before you're going to win. In my last agency, we were an e-commerce agency. We worked with supplement brands, and we used to basically help scale their meta ads, find more customers, and we also figured out their content strategy on those platforms. Now, it usually took us a bit of time to get the customer results, usually anywhere from 60 to 90 days. So at the start, because obviously they paid us a lot of money, about $10,000 to be working with us, getting all this content ready, they didn't see any results. We needed something to build that trust. Now, we didn't have the resources or the time to be able to create another service. So I actually built a partnership with a company called Postpilot, and what they do is direct mail. Now, our clients use Shopify. All brands on Shopify, they all send out emails. Most of them send out text messages too, but at the time, most of them were not, and still a lot don't today, sending direct mail. Now, it's a bit of an old school way of doing marketing, sending something in the post, but the thing is people actually appreciate it. And what we started to notice is when these guys will come on, the results instantly will be insane. So they get like a almost like 10x return on investment within like 15 days. And we partner up with them. They obviously got a new client by coming into one of our brands. They got this insane result. Then obviously we then built more trust with the client to buy us time to obviously get our service off the ground. They got a new client. And then what happened is they started growing really fast. So it was just good timing. This is something that you want to identify, the partners who, not the massive companies where you're never going to be able to get that VIP treatment, but the ones that are on the rise. Get in the door with those guys and build relationships there, ideally the decision makers, so you get more support and you get more priority. And that's what we did. Now, for example, too, I'm sure you've heard the podcast, The Diary of a CEO. I was on a plane the other day and I saw that The Diary of a CEO was on that plane. Imagine how many people are now listening to The Diary of a CEO. And obviously, the more people listen to that show, the more money they get from sponsorships, so on and so forth. Talking about competitive advantages, there was no other podcast on there. They were the only one. So obviously, credit to Stephen Bartlett or someone in his team that they've gone out there and they built an alliance with an airline company to promote a podcast, giving them a massive competitive advantage. And I'm sure in return, they got something out of it. Now, example 3 is one of my clients called Toby Chapman. So I introduced him to another guy who's run a Facebook ad agency, and Toby runs an email marketing agency. So that's a great example. You know, one person's running ads, one person's running email, but they work with the same kind of clients. If someone gets 5 clients here, someone gets 5 clients here, and they refer each other to all the clients, now they have 10 clients together, and they have all that shared knowledge. Now, within the space of 6 months, I believe Toby referred this guy 15 clients. Imagine if you had 5 people that did that. That's the power of what we're talking about. And obviously, the bigger the company is, and the longer you build the relationship, the bigger the opportunity. And that's why it's so powerful. Now, at the time recording, I've built over 200 partnerships for my agency and agencies that I've helped mentor that actually generate pipeline. And there's 7 steps that happen every single time. And before you ask, no, you don't need to be doing over 100K a month. This works even if you're just getting started. Now, step 1 is figure out who works with your ideal customer and provides them value. Ideally, build a list of 100 people. Step 2, identify their LinkedIn profiles of the decision makers of those companies, depending on how big they are, whether it's the founder or the director of partnerships. Tell them what kind of clients you're working with, if you've got some case studies, and then say that in 2025, 2026 and beyond, that you are looking to build your strategic partnerships. Step 3 is keep having the conversation so you can jump on a call. And the most important thing you want to identify on that call is what is their goal, and then what is stopping them from getting to that goal. Now, step 4 is after the call's finished, you've got to figure out how you can solve that problem that's stopping them from getting to their goal, or you introduce them to someone else who can. Now, step 5, once you've built some value by helping them solve their problem or introduce them to someone who can, this is when I recommend doing a co-marketing effort. So a great example would be a webinar. So you might have, for example, lots of content and knowledge of how to help certain clients in a certain industry, and they might have the infrastructure, a massive email list, but they don't have the time to put a webinar together. So you could put everything together, sort it all out, create it all, and they basically just have to run some ads and obviously get some people to that webinar. Again, that's an idea of how you can join resources together, and then through that, obviously, you probably both get clients, but the ultimate thing there is proving to them that you are good at what you do, and you're building rapport through that relationship. And then step 6, then start the conversation about referring each other clients. Ask them if you can get a referral for X type of client. You've proven to them that you can deliver. You've proven to them you can deliver value, and this way they'll refer you the best clients. And step 7, the one that no one wants to do, is repeat steps 1 to 6 and find 3 to 5 strategic partners that you can grow with for the next decade. And yes, it might not sound as sexy as turning on an ad and getting someone booked into your calendar, but the thing is is if you put in this work when everyone else is struggling with rising ad costs in the next 5 to 10 years, and you basically have got a partnership with an airline company or the biggest AI company in the world or the new social media platform because you identified this person early, you spent the time, you showed up, you built the value with them, and then everyone is coming to you saying how you've grown so fast, and you know that you've been building this competitive advantage over years, that's when you'll realize all this hard effort was worth it. Now, if you're listening to this video and you're thinking, great idea, Nigel, but I've got so much stuff on my plate, I'm trying all these different outreach efforts, I've got Slack messages firing left, right, and center. Well, how about this? I developed a roadmap to 100k a month that I tested with 800 businesses, and it's generated them over $41 million in revenue so far. And what this roadmap does is it identifies using 9 KPIs that we use to grow businesses exactly where you are, what the biggest constraint is in your business, and what you need to focus on within the next 90 days, within the next 6 months, and the next 12 months to hit your monthly recurring revenue target. And as a bonus, I even included a partnership analysis tool so you can identify what exact partners fit best for your business. So if you want to grab a copy of the 100k a month roadmap, just click the link below in the description, drop in your email, and I'll send it over free to your inbox. Now, the last thing about strategic partnerships that I want to share is the 3 most common mistakes that I see business owners making every single time. And yes, I certainly made them a few times myself. So number 1 is making it all about you. When you go into a call and you're having a chit chat and then you basically just go into this massive elevator pitch of how you're the best thing since sliced bread and why they should refer all these kind of businesses to you. And then what happens is that you get off that call, maybe you set up a Slack channel or an email, loop with all of their decision makers. That is the fastest way to destroy a partnership. Instead, make it about them, because no one does this. And if you do it and you make the whole call about them, understanding their goals and their pain points stopping them from getting there, like I told you, people will remember it. Mistake number 2, not following up. People are busy. They won't always respond to your messages. And if you have one conversation, even if you provide them the most amount of value anyone's ever given them ever, they still will probably forget you by the time of next week. You've got to be consistent with following up with people. And the way to do it is follow up around things that are important to them. So ask them when their birthday is. Be the first person in their inbox when it's their birthday. Ask them who's important to them. Figure it out through a conversation. And you know what? When it comes to that business that needs help with the problem that you solve, who do you think they're going to think about? You're going to be top of mind and they're going to come to you. And that's why, even though that's a lot of effort, you spend more time figuring out the 5 people that you really want to go big with and then put the time and effort in, because they will unlock all the doors. The best example I can give you is, imagine if you spent 10 years building a relationship with Elon Musk before no one knew who he was. Imagine the doors that would be unlocking today. I bet a few people probably did that. And guess what? Do you think they thought it was worth it following up with him on his birthday? Mistake number 3, the most common one, is, Nigel, I'm just starting out. I can't offer anything. I don't really have clients. And that is exactly what I thought when I was at my last agency and we were just starting out. We actually partnered up with a company called VideoWise. The founder, Claudio, his name is, and I had a conversation with him. They're a fast-growing software company, and I tried to build a partnership, and I was thinking, what does this guy want? And he told me, frankly, after a few conversations, he does need introductions to some big companies. We didn't really have any big companies at the time. So I got creative and I thought, what can I offer him here if I don't actually have the clients? Now, at the time, as an example, I was running a podcast. So I'd actually had conversations with a lot of the kind of brands he wanted to work with. So I went and spoke to those leads, and I think then I introduced him to 30 leads into his inbox within the space of a week. And we went basically to become one of their VIP partners at the time that I was still there, because of the amount of value we just gave him. The long-term benefits I've demonstrated throughout this video, hopefully enough to the point you're going to take action now, are so worth it. Now, obviously, as I've mentioned, strategic partnerships aren't the only way to get clients right now. And one way that's working extremely well at the time recording is sending personalized personalized messages on LinkedIn and having human conversations. Now, we've been using a strategy that's booked us 375 calls in the last 4 months, and I documented the entire framework in this video here. So if you need to put more calls in your calendar, as well as your strategic partnerships, click this video, enjoy, and I'll speak to you soon.